Oh yeah, here we are. It is Scott Feinberg. Oh, just 1 second. There we go. We are live
Oh
streaming.
yeah, here we are. It is.
We are live streaming on YouTube and recording a Zoom. And this is the kickoff of my new channel and a bold experiment in super solutionary thinking, participatory democracy, and putting together the pieces of a revolution so we can share this and people can get a little bit more insight as to what is happening right now in the world. So a little introduction for what we're up to. I've had multiple launches over the years, and this one we're going to kick off with just some context around the people power evolution slash revolution, but none of the violent blah 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 associated with or disruptive madness or dissolution of the basic frames and conditions of civil society. This is really an evolutionary process, a conscious evolutionary process that we're in, and there is a very specific set of strategies and solutions that we're bringing to bear in this people power movement that I mean, rough ballpark, less than 0.1% of anyone I know knows about this. And it's literally the ne plus ultra. There is nothing more powerful as a solution for literally everything that's ailing us. And I'm going to walk us through all that and a whole bunch of great examples and stuff to share as we go along the way. And I am Scott Weinberg, your co-facilitator slash host. There is no media channel that's super solutionary or solutionary. There's something called solutions journalism that takes the symptoms of the world that's screwed up, that's bugging us and our politics and our governments and our economy and companies that don't seem to be responsive to essential human needs and actually being able to satisfy what is causing so many people so much pain in the world. How do we fix this stuff? And why doesn't news spend at least half its time talking about the best understanding of the real issues, the underlying issues, and then the solutions that actually address the obstacles that prevent our system from working properly? And there's another form of journalism called engagement journalism, where you bring people together from different points of view, different stakeholder points of view, to explore these solutions and find common ground. So I'm going to share more about this amazing change, this amazing movement that's happening right now. And yeah, we're launching. So this is a different version of what I've done in the past. I'm not representing any brands or organizations in this context today. I am really here as a free agent, a voice in our media in what is, in many ways, a creative project, a journalistic project, an entrepreneurial project, a project of inspiration, and a movement. And I'm celebrating my wild freedom and that we don't really need anyone's permission or resources or money to be able to kickstart transformation in our society. I count myself as someone who's independent, free thinking, that I am not just transpartisan, cross partisan, but in many respects, I am anti partisan. I think the parties cause so much of the problems for what we're going through. And I don't think they can help being there. They're kind of like a natural evolution of our democracy, yielded these competing tribes. George Washington, in his farewell address, mentioned and warned the nation against resolving into party-based politics and the problems that it could cause and the capture by foreign and special interests. And we've seen that. And so I'm here to be like full throttle, full speed ahead on actually implementing the solutions that can be the antidote, the countermeasure the thing that Bucky talks about, the doing something different that isn't within the typical system, but that fixes the system, that complements the system, that makes the existing system work better. And I really deeply believe we don't need a constitutional amendment or any significant changes to our constitution or the way that we vote or all that stuff for this to really work. That what we have at hand is a solution that can run in parallel. We're talking about literally in the language of the blockchain, we're forking the system. We're creating a parallel, complementary, deliberative system to make the whole thing work. And I think of all the people I know, and I know a lot of people in this movement, the most accelerationist for getting this to happen as quickly as possible, with a well-formed plan that weaves together the best players and best practices in this field to stand up what is essentially a people-powered fourth branch in our democracy, in our media, in our politics and economy, a fourth independent people-powered voice that can stand as a strong enough voice and a voting bloc in our society that we will finally get the attention of our leaders, our representatives, and candidates. And that we can stand this fourth branch, this people-powered fourth branch that the Second Amendment, free speech, just gives us the power to do this. We can do this in 2026 for America's 250th sesquicentennial celebration. And we can do it ourselves with our co-creativity, our resources, our communities. And here's the key thing, the main modus operandus, the way that we're going to do this change is our theory of change. That is, grab the mic, pass the mic around, walk our talk, literally coming to common ground, and then actualizing our common ground solutions by supporting them with advocacy, with explainers, with creativity, with events, with food, with fun, so that people are participating in this new mode of engaged citizenship. And we don't even need everyone's time that much to do it. And just to say, I don't know if anyone's really going to come along for the party, if anyone's really going to join at the scale that we need to for this movement. But if we get anywhere at all further along in 2026 to popularize citizen engagement, participation, civic assemblies, people just getting together and doing the way of council, the ancient way of council, we will have taken this movement a whole lot further than it is right now. And I'll just give some examples of how egregious the existing system is. Well, many people complain about the federal government and how it's not representative of their views and their concerns and how it's an affront and offense to their own ethics and values, the way that they would see federal government conducting itself. And I understand that. But I ask you to consider that after 20 years of supermajority Democrats in government in California, in Los Angeles and San Francisco, how is it that we have not seen any significant improvements, if not really just worsening, in the quality of our education and our national rankings in California and LA compared to the rest of the US is abysmal, and we spend more per student. In healthcare, we do all right, but we're very middling considering that we are the most powerful and wealthy state in America per capita and in aggregate, wealthier than almost every state but four in the world. I think we're the fourth largest economy now with this whole AI boom, and we don't have a really good healthcare or preventative wellness system in this state. And that beyond that, we have this problem of housing and homelessness. There is no one I know who isn't suffering from the consequences of a lack of supply, which has everyone competing and bidding on the same apartments and houses, pushing up the prices, even though it's the same not so good inventory that's been there for 50 or 80 years. And a homeless problem in Skid Row and a whole sections of LA that's been going for like 50 years. How is it that a supermajority Democratic government in the wealthiest state, they have the steering wheel, they're on the throttle, they got the keys to the most powerful vehicle in the world, and they're driving it off the road? not even driving it quickly, but like literally driving it off the road. So I'm grateful for, Gavin Newsom and the Democrats' resistance to the moves for gerrymandering in Texas and across the US. I think gerrymandering is horrible. I think we really want representative districts to just vote and compete and have competitive races to maybe encourage common ground candidates to show up. But, you know, move, counter move, and all that with more gerrymandering, less democracy. Why aren't we investing in more responsiveness, more tuning into the people, more citizen assemblies, more hearing from what ordinary citizens think and have to say, the creativity, ideas, and input? Where's that? Where's the, you know, we're spending 250 million, not including opponents, on Proposition 50 for gerrymandering to reduce our democratic stuff for pragmatic political reasons in California. We haven't even spent $1 million on civic engagement from this state or private investors or foundations. Like maybe like $1 million, including research and little programs going around. But like it's like a pittance. We have not invested in what to me is the obvious super solution. So let me unpack a little bit more about that super solution. And, what we really know is that the system is captured by wealth and power, has been from the beginning. Wealthy people, special interests, foreign interests, especially concealed donations and PACs, can just pump money in to both parties, to candidates from both sides to make sure that those investors get what they want. It happens at the local level with developers and people who have specific business in the local level that our cities regulate. It happens at the state level when it comes to things like this, high-speed rail going to nowhere for 30 years and a ridiculous way of going about it, or whatever is 10, 15 years with tens of billions of dollars spent that could go to much better things. Why is it that we don't have a voice, but the people who are the backers of these things and the people who benefit from these things do have their voice respected? Until we have a diverse, representative, broad-based, citizen-led, common ground consensus, a people's platform for the people to get together and to speak, to generate a people's platform of common ground, common sense solutions, a people's platform for us to really move our voice into the foreground of our politics, economy, and media. Until we take the mic and pass it around to real people, no one's going to do it for us. Ain't no one going to come to save us. And it really is, in so many ways, a multidimensional opportunity. So let me walk you through some of the stuff that I've been seeing that'll just demonstrate to you that I'm not just, Scott could just be making all this up. But I'm not. I'm part of the Los Angeles Civic Hub, is part of the Braver Angels and Better Together America movement. And I'm just going to look for, should be right there. There we go. Boom. Screen share. Here we go. We'll move this guy out of the way, causing a mess. And here we are. Oops, that did not share the right frame. What's the deal? Stop sharing, go back in, share. There we go. That should be it. Yeah, so here we go. First, Better Together America. Mediators Foundation started some 30 years ago, anticipating the polarization in America, bringing people together for cross-partisan conversations, bridge building, mediation, and the like. In the last year, this organization, along with others, have come around to the conclusion that people are a little bit bored of just bridging conversations. A lot of people will not show up for the kumbaya of, wow, we can get along, even though I'm red and you're blue, and we can talk about some subjects and hear each other. But how about we actually get into problem solving? organizing to find solutions at the local level. And that's what this is about. So, Better Together America is the coordinating organization that's part of a national movement of literally tens of thousands of organizations, local to national, that are committed to nonpartisan democratic reform, to bring together people from different sides to work together. There are already 52,000 people within these organizations already trained to facilitate, to participate, or who've attended workshops. We have loads of civic engagement projects that operate at the national level and regional level. And then we have 59 civic hubs already started. One of them is here in LA that I'm a part of with the local Braver Angels Network and Public Democracy LA, and really exciting stuff happening with our charter reform in Los Angeles. We just got a civic assembly to input from real people on our Los Angeles Constitution this year. Oakland's leading their own version of it. Montrose, years ago, did a great process to figure out how to solve problems around quality childcare in a small, very reddish, purplish town in Colorado. And they asked the community to figure out the solutions. And they did. They came to common ground solutions. And now they're working on another initiative around affordable housing and youth homelessness. So they've got resources and all this stuff, amazing things. But this is the network that we're really talking about. The National Civic League and the University of Arizona put together a map of all the organizations that are into supporting healthy democracy in America. And just look at that. Those are like tons of organizations doing this work across the country. And they haven't even got the budget to be able to do thorough mapping. So we're at around 12,000 orgs right now, but there's many, many more to go. So I'm not alone. It's not crazy Scott talking about this without context. This is very real. This is something that's very real and very happening right now. But no one knows about it. And how does this look when you're really talking about it? Well, we've got digital participation tools as well. So we've got rankings and ratings that show, let me just reload this. I think it's just coming up slowly. There we go. So we got the gallery view, and there are literally your priorities was in Iceland and started during the Pirate Party's initiative to recreate the Icelandic constitution using a citizen engagement process, online tools, in person. Same thing with Decidim in Spain, when the what is it? The Podemos, Yes We Can movement kicked in because of corruption and authoritarian impulses in Spain. The Podemos party launched their own deliberative platform called Decidim. It has recently been used in Brazil that reached 1.5 million people participating online, in addition to in-person gatherings and deliberative process. Liquid Feedback, another great one, Go Vocal, US-based and more expensive, used by governments. Adhocracy, Lumio in Australia came out of the Flux movement and the deliberative democracy thing there. Polis developed in the US in the state of Washington and used frequently as the first consensus building simple application where people say their different policy suggestions for an issue like homelessness in LA. And people have different points of view and different values and so on, but where people find convergence, where people from this idea and that idea, from right and left, come together, it celebrates and advances those solutions the way that our usual social media heightens the divisions. This application actually shows where we have convergence, where we come together, and that's Polis. That was used prominently in Taiwan, which before Brazil's great experiment was our biggest instance of participatory democracy, with hundreds of thousands of participants there. And then there's many more. I mean, you can just see the technology, there's tons coming online and more in development with and without AI assistance in different ways. Just genius stuff that I've tracked, and so many people working on this, including MetaGov, which is this organization that's weaving together the different technology players in this field so that they don't work at cross purposes, so that they build in a way that our data and our preferences are ours alone, aren't ever to be sold or extracted, are really secure, and that you could still carry your opinions and your beliefs and your ideas from one application to another without any clumsy challenges of using all these different tools. And MetaGov is developing a platform called CrownShy. They've been commissioned to run a civic engagement, citizen assembly, hybrid online and in-person process for the Scottish Parliament in 18 months with a really significant budget to develop and implement this. So that's an example of an upcoming big citizen assembly process, and that there are tons of these that have gone on around the world. Participedia tracks all the different organizations and the case studies of doing civic assembly around the world. So they research all this stuff and keep track of global examples around, how you do participatory governance and how you get more people engaged. So thousands of cases there. And then just another example, Participativo, this amazing instance in Brazil where, post-Bolsonaro, authoritarian, almost, coup d'etat leader of Brazil, after he got bounced out of government, we have Lula initiating, with the support of some really bright people, a way to advance participatory democracy in Brazil. So, they took on all this stuff, a commitment years ago to do it. Lula gets reelected, and then they launch this thing where many more people have access to the internet. And in just this year, they got 1.5 million people to participate in 66 days, generating, with the website accessed 4 million times, 8,000 citizen proposals. Of these proposals, 76% were incorporated into the national plan, with 58% fully integrated as formed by the citizens using Participativo, and 14% of those suggestions partially included. And these are common ground solutions where there was broad support. Those things became policy, and that's the way we get things done. Don't focus on what you disagree on. You bring people together, and when you find your common ground, when you find what you can agree on, that stuff gets done. That's like God's hand. God is us saying together in unison, let's fix the potholes. Yeah, let's fix the potholes. That's an easy one. Let's do that. And then the potholes get fixed. We don't say it, we don't ask for it. It ain't going to happen. And then there's this other example, is like partisan. How do we do this in media? Mind blowing, but partisan, I'll just find the link, is yeah. Do I have the direct link? I don't think I do. That's goofy of me. So the YouTube channel that's in authoritarian Hungary, right? And we'll just go to this link instead. So Viktor Orban leading this authoritarian government for 10 years, clamped down on the media and everything. And this guy out of nowhere launches a YouTube channel that they can't stop. And Partisan is that YouTube channel with really significant reach, coming out of nowhere, 300 million views in a small country. No one else speaks a language even related to Hungarian. And we can see their stats show that there's just more and more media happening online. So even if the networks are owned by corporate behemoths, even if the super mega media and online media is owned by a large corporate, whatever, YouTube, if you're not talking some dirt about people or some trash or some porn or whatever, you can bring people together and share solutions and deeper conversations that bring truth to power, right? And this is like, our trust score in media in Hungary going down, down, down. And then which sources do you trust is interesting. Partisan isn't listed in here, but this is a review of their whole media landscape. And so Partisan, 300 million views on, who's going to take us there? Partisan YouTube. Boom. And you just see Partisan official, blah, blah. Right? Videos, straight into it. 89,000 views, you know, 1.1, 10,000 subscribers. Oh, this is their official channel. I've seen videos where they have a total count of 300 million views for their channel. And just like, bringing people together to have debates and conversations about how to actually solve stuff in Hungary. So, um, and then in the US, Braver Angels, which is like really are probably the gorilla in the field. And I'll just take you to Braver Angels. Well, that didn't work very well. There we go. So Braver Angels, there you go. 67,000 participants in their programs. They've run thousands of events. I'm a member. I've supported events and workshops here at my home and mini assemblies where we bring people together in Granada Hills to talk about immigration. They do online stuff, they do in-person stuff. It tends to be older, whiter folks, but they're starting to reach out more assertively and moving from just bridging conversations where you bring different views and different points of view together to now going towards in-community problem solving, literally developing common ground policy in what they call their citizen-led solutions program. And this is, just a brief overview about what are citizen-led solutions. It's where citizens come together across differences to foster trust, forge common ground solutions, and follow through to implement local solutions for local problems. And it's really about doing this locally, the same as Better Together America is launching civic hubs. Braver Angels is a national network that's going to be a partner with us, in addition to many other organizations doing this work at the local and state level. The advantage is by bringing people together, you build relationships, you forge common ground solutions, and then you have the support, the momentum, the connection to follow through on implementation. So this is how they see their muscle engine for the whole thing is you build stronger civic muscle by fostering relationships, forging solutions, doing the follow through. With that faith, we know that this can work and we have examples of it working, but we need to see much more of this because most people don't even know about Braver Angels and they're the gorilla in our field. So how do we go beyond this? And we'll just do a quick view of, what does it look like? People coming together in a room, breakouts at tables. We did this one as a model civic assembly in Culver City. I was there as a supporter and helper. And at one of the tables, I don't think you can see me there right now. So a group comes together, a diverse group comes together to work and research and find common ground solutions. The emphasis is on collaborative problem solving and looking for evidence-based information based on facts, people's experience, and so on to inform decisions and the development of policy that we can agree on. So the one that we did in Culver City was what should happen to land in areas damaged by fire to balance resiliency, safety, and housing needs. We had different breakout groups to talk about it. We had some policy proposals. We reviewed those policy proposals. So, ideally you have a representative selection, but you can do that with large numbers of participants. And then you do the learning to figure out what the facts are that everyone agrees on or the information that everyone should have in mind and access experts and just pure knowledge and GPT and Google searches, all of it. And then you deliberate. So this is the deliberation piece. And then you develop common ground policy recommendations. And they go into deeper detail on each of these stages, the learning, the deliberation, where you do it in breakout groups and then maybe mix those breakout groups and evaluate the different trade-offs, critique each other's ideas, and the stuff that stands at the end. We love the proposals. Those ones might get refined, might go deeper, or might just go straight to the Culver City Council and mayor that could choose to implement them. And they are actually, we're so impressed with the process that Culver City is talking about running a full citizen assembly. We just ran a little model where people who were invited just showed up. We don't know if we got a representative mix. In the real manner of doing this, you get a full representative mix. And then I wanted to just share this like rock star hilarious freaking video. Let's see if it plays. Boom. Oh, let's get sound going. So this is like in the UK, they made this whole thing super sexy and interesting with like, a hip soundtrack to launch the House of the People as a compliment to fix the politics there. And it's like about passing the mic and ordinary people getting a voice and working at these tables. It just makes it seem more sexy and fun than we have known how to do in the American version of this movement. So they're a little bit ahead for advancing the idea of replacing the House of Lords, which is just appointed rich people. You've heard of the Lords, Sir whoever, Lady whoever. They get this appointment forever. There's like 500 of them. They get paid forever when we could use that same organization and body to actually listen to ordinary citizens talking about solutions and coming to common ground and so on. So very exciting. And you just see, this is what it looks like. People get together. Often they get paid for doing this. They write their little votes on for which policies they like and don't like. Sometimes you have music and food, and away you go. Assemble in the UK. Great program, great idea. All right. And I'm just going to turn down the volume on this thing because it could get echoey because I've got the other player playing over here somewhere. We just turn the volume down on this. That's what'll do it. Because we're still live, and now we're getting meta with my live because here I am running this at the same time. And then let's watch another video because videos are fun to watch. This is from the Sortition Foundation, sortition being the fancy phrase for lottery. And this was used in ancient Greece. There's archaeological evidence to suggest, and I studied ancient Greece. I love ancient Greece, and I had no idea in college that they used a lottery for their people's assembly, which prevents corruption. Why the lottery? You can get a representative mix based on demographics or location or zip codes. That's important. But beyond that, if it's a lottery and people are paid for 2 months or 3 months to deliberate on something, they're not in there for a career. They're not influenceable. You can't buy them all because they're going to go back to their neighborhoods and they have to defend why they took a decision that went against their neighborhood values. Because you're not going to get all these people in the civic assembly paid off. There's just no economic way to do that. The assembly is cleaner. It's anti-corrupt. It speaks for the people and not for special interests because you get a diverse mix through the lottery process. People don't want to participate. They don't put their hand up for the lottery roll. But with literally 1.5 million people participating in the system in Brazil, we know that when it's a big issue, people will show up if they have the opportunity to be selected for the lottery. And then even a whole bunch of people still chime in the online participation, whatever. So let's look at this video because I think there was a really good one. I thought there was a video here. Huh. Maybe it was this one. No, we'll get to that one later. So democratic lotteries. Where's the darn video for this one? Oh, there it is. Great. So watching this one now. Boom. Good old Vimeo. Boom. Hit it. It's time to replace the House of Lords. It's time to compliment. There we go.
So you've heard this idea about turning the House of Lords into a House of Citizens, but you want to know how it would work, right? Fair enough. So let's start by saying that it currently costs us over 100 million every year so that 800 lords can rule over us until the day that they die. If we got rid of them, We could use that money to transform politics and make it work for everyone. In contrast to a House of Lords, a House of Citizens would be made up of around 300 people, just like you and me. I'm talking nurses, shopkeepers, carers, business people, teachers, doctors, and tradespeople. Imagine a parliament where half the decision makers are women and many are young, a place that mirrors the makeup of our country in terms of people's background and where they call home. A House of Citizens would be selected a bit like a jury, so that everyone, including you, would have an equal chance of taking part. They'd be paid the same as MPs, and they'd serve for a year before being replaced by new people from different walks of life. Then, just as if they'd been on maternity leave or paternity leave, they'd return to their day job. So what exactly would a House of Citizens do? Basically, everything the House of Lords does, just better. Guided by a range of experts, they would hold government to account and make sure that new laws are sensible and fair. They'd also be able to kickstart inquiries when we need a voice we can trust, like when it comes to big issues like the COVID crisis or the scandal around politicians' expenses. Just like in the 19th century with the Chartists and the 20th with the suffragettes, we need to come together to upgrade our democracy. Let's strip off the House of Lords and let the people decide. Support the campaign for a House of Citizens now.
Yep, the British are badass. No question about that. They really got their shit together for this thing. So it's, that's the evidence. Lots of people doing this, hardly a peep about it in the US media. I was just with a group of people who went to the LA Charter Reform Commission. Give me a headache for describing. It's basically the people rewriting LA's constitution. There's an opportunity every 10 years to revise the constitution, the charter of Los Angeles, and the same thing with the county recently. But no one ever hears about it, and no one's been invited to participate. So when Daniel Kwan, who is the director or co-director of Everything Everywhere All at Once, found out about this, he was like, "White, we got to do something." And met a friend at Berggruen Institute, which has been an advocate for these civic engagement processes, and rallied a group of us from Public Democracy LA, Braver Angels, the LA Civic Hub to come together, pitch the commission this last Thursday, and they approved the Civic Assembly, even though they'd even hardly ever heard about it. Daniel Kwan posted an Instagram and got 50,000 some likes and a whole bunch of shares. We've got our first significant celebrity supporting this movement for the first time. And I've been involved in this for, I don't know, like 10 years. I've been looking at how do we do citizen sourcing of solutions? How do we crowdsource? How do we do more engagement? How do we use online tools to get the people's voice up in common ground in our media, in our politics, telling our businesses what we want for common ground solutions? So finally, we've got the momentum to actually do a bigger process in Los Angeles, and that's a really big deal. So civic assembly, like the House of Lords process and everything we just looked at that the British are doing, we're about to get to do something like that in Los Angeles for the first time. And what does that look like? Well, imagine, wow, this is going to take a while to play, isn't it? Sounds off, but imagine we got a civic assembly on the National Mall. And I made it look like a cool geodesic dome using Sora, and this video should play. Come on, video. No, video's not playing, but it spins around and whatever. When it's actually working, it looks really cool, but it's not working. Something to do with the sharing thing. Anyway, it gives you the idea of what it would look like if we had that going in the United States. And the big idea is that we can stand up a fourth branch within this year. So yeah, I wrote a little song, and I guess I'm gonna share it. Oop, there we go. And switch off the share so you don't have to look at that and hear me do this ridiculous song, but we're just going to be experimenting. We're running Comedians Fix America this year, or this coming weekend on Sunday. We're going to run a comedic version of a mini assembly or a deliberative process or council right here at my place. And if you want to find out more, I guess you can just write me, scott@weinberg.com, scott@weinberg.com, first name at last name.com. And, to it too, and you'll recognize we've got a problem in America. The system has been captured by wealth and power, special interests calling the shots while the people's voice fades out. From the very beginning, someone could always finance candidates. And the wealthy and powerful have financed both parties and players on both sides of all teams. That's why they always get most of what they want. And statistically, literally, it is recorded that the people, even when we agree in polls for what we want, are mostly ignored. But there's a way to get the power back by standing up a people-powered fourth branch, a fourth branch separate from our government, separate from our corporate media, where we deliberate, we decide, and we direct the future together, channeling the best of our collective intelligence, care, ideas, creativity, and voice. So here's my little song for this whole thing, and it'll probably be a little bit clumsy, but what the hey. This branch is your branch. This branch is my branch. Woo, you gotta work on that. This branch is your branch. This branch is my branch, from neighborhood circles to every farm stand, from city council. Whoa, I'm just not catching it. This branch is this. Oh man, this is like going horribly wrong. But that's, like I said, we're a rough organization just getting started, and I am missing the first chords. So I gotta find those darn chords. Um, this branch is your branch, this branch is my branch. Mhm. There we go. Okay. This branch is your branch. This branch is my branch. From neighbor circles to every farm stand. From city councils to state house chambers. This branch is made by you and me. When things get tangled and trust gets mangled, we build our power from the grassroots angle. We talk and listen, we find what's missing, then craft solutions on which we agree. The Miss Branch is your branch. This branch is my branch. From neighborhood circles to every farm stand, from city councils to state house chambers. This branch is made by you and me. People power, that's our tower. Fourth branch rising, hour by hour. Double deliberation, our new foundation. This branch is made of you and me. In every schoolyard and every kitchen, the folks are meeting, the gears are switching with open participation. We will transform with our neighbors, craft the people's platform. That's right, kids. The fourth branch isn't about right or left. It's about listening and passing the mic. Ordinary citizens chosen by lottery sit together, study the facts, make real recommendations based on what they agree on. From your block to your state, all the way to Congress, we can change how things get done. So money and power finally have another voice to hear, the people's voice. That's what the fourth branch does. From local councils to state conventions, we share solutions and good intentions when our voices sing in harmonic connection. Democracy blooms like a tree. People powered, hour by hour, fourth branch blooming. Truth to power from every corner. A wiser order. This branch is made by four of you and me. Well, that was a weak rendition, but at least we got it recorded and done, which isn't half bad. Let's see, do I have anything else to share? I think that's the batch for today. Please join me for more deep dives into the revolution at hand, about to pop, that no one knows about, but soon will. I'm doing my best. Anyone else have clever ideas on how to get this up and out there? Please join me. And in the meantime, I will just say it's been a pleasure being with you. And this is Super Solutionary with Scott Weinberg. Hopefully, many other people joining me. And we're going to focus on education, housing, homelessness, healthcare, all of it, but specifically the ne plus ultra, mother of all solutions, the people power revolution. Because if and when we get together and generate common ground solutions and agreement, we can solve every other challenge that we have better that way. Getting together, getting some practice, building the muscle, the knowledge, the facilitation skills, the listening, the passing of the mic, the finding common ground, promoting common ground. The people's platform will win. No third party needed, just a fourth branch and a fresh voice of the people in our media, our social media, our politics, across every field in our society. When the people come together and they find common ground, and we know how to do that rock solid, easy, we solve everything that's bugging us. Till next time, it's Vrum, aka Scott Weinberg, and we'll see you soon.